Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to Book Summary 5, the 5-Minute Summary channel. I'm Sammy, your host. Today we're diving into The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith, first published in 1776. This foundational text is not just a classic of economic theory, it's one of the cornerstones of modern capitalism. Smith's ideas shaped how we think about trade, markets, labor, and government intervention, and they remain incredibly relevant, even centuries later. So let's break it down and walk through it together, so you'll feel like you've read it cover to cover. The full title is an inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations, and that's exactly what Smith sets out to explore. What makes a nation wealthy? What drives economic prosperity? And why do some nations flourish while others stagnate? Smith starts by looking at labor, not gold, not land, not royal wealth, but the work people do. He argues that the real wealth of a nation lies in its productivity. How efficiently people can produce goods and services that others want and need. One of Smith's most famous ideas appears right at the beginning, the division of labor. He uses the example of a pin factory to show that dividing tasks among workers dramatically increases efficiency. One person doing every step of making a pin would produce only a few per day, but if each worker specializes in one small step, cutting, shaping, sharpening, the group can produce thousands. This insight is simple but revolutionary. Specialization leads to productivity, and productivity drives prosperity. Smith then goes further. If we want to take full advantage of the division of labor, we need trade. People don't produce everything they consume. They produce one thing and trade for others. That's where markets come in. In a well-functioning market, people exchange goods and services freely, driven by their own interests. And it's here that Smith introduces his most iconic metaphor, the invisible hand. Each person, by pursuing their own self-interest, unintentionally contributes to the economic good of all. When a baker bakes bread, he's not doing it to feed the public out of kindness, he does it to earn a living. But in doing so, he feeds the community. That said, Smith was not a blind worshipper of self-interest. He recognized that markets need certain conditions to work well. Trust, rule of law, transparency, and competition all matter. And he was wary of monopolies and cronyism, where a few powerful actors could manipulate markets for their own benefit, harming society in the process. In fact, he was highly critical of the collusion between business and government that favors the few at the expense of the many. Another major section of the book deals with the role of government. Contrary to popular belief, Smith didn't argue for no government. He just wanted it focused on the right things. He believed the state should provide defense, administer justice, and build public works like roads, bridges, and education systems, things that are too large or too unprofitable for private enterprise to handle on its own. These public investments, he argued, make markets work better and help lift society as a whole. Smith also spends a great deal of time examining how wages, profits, and rents behave. He explains that wages tend to rise when economies are growing and labor is in demand. Profits are driven by risk and competition. Rents come from land ownership and are influenced by the fertility or location of land. In these explorations, he builds a kind of early framework for understanding economic systems, what we might today call microeconomics and macroeconomics. Importantly, Smith challenges the dominant economic model of his time, mercantilism. This was the belief that a nation's wealth came from hoarding gold and maintaining a trade surplus. Smith turns that on its head. He argues that wealth comes not from stockpiling resources, but from producing and exchanging them freely. Trade isn't a zero-sum game. When done right, both sides can benefit. Over the course of 5 dense and detailed books, Smith maps out a vision for an open, productive economy built on individual freedom, specialization, and transparent exchange. He doesn't claim perfection. He's clear about the risks of greed and inequality. But he believes in a system where people are free to pursue their interests within a framework that ensures fairness and access. Reading The Wealth of Nations is like stepping into the mind of one of history's most influential thinkers. It's a blend of philosophy, economics, politics, and human psychology. Smith doesn't just offer a set of theories, he offers a worldview. And even though the book is nearly 250 years old, its insights still echo through every business cycle, every policy debate, and every corner of our global economy. Thank you for tuning in to Book Summary 5, the 5-Minute Summary channel. If you enjoyed this journey through economic history and the brilliant mind of Adam Smith, please subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. Until next time, happy reading.